We have all been there. I mean, picture this. It is like 9 p.m. on a Thursday. You and your coworker are just bathed in that harsh blue monitor glow.
Oh, yeah, just staring at a completely broken spreadsheet.
Exactly. The pivot tables are an absolute disaster. The coffee on your desk went cold like 3 hours ago. And then suddenly something just shifts in the room.
Right, the fatigue really sets in at that point.
Yeah, and out of nowhere you find yourself explaining your childhood trauma and exactly why you cannot commit to long-term relationships.
It happens so incredibly fast, you know? One minute you're hunting for a missing parenthesis in some revenue formula, and the next you're just unpacking your deepest psychological baggage with someone you barely knew yesterday.
And congratulations, because in that exact moment, you have crossed the invisible, highly dangerous line from coworkers to work soulmates.
Which is a very real phenomenon.
Oh, totally. And let's be honest, it feels amazing, right? The camaraderie is intoxicating. You are in the trenches together. You feel entirely seen.
It's a huge dopamine hit.
It really is. But then, fast forward to Monday morning. You're back in the fluorescent light of reality, sitting right across the conference table, and you realize you have to look this brand new bestie in the eye and tell them that their marketing pitch was just absolute garbage.
And suddenly, the air just completely leaves the room, because giving that feedback, it doesn't feel like a standard professional critique anymore.
No, it feels like an existential betrayal.
Exactly. You know their deepest fears, you know all about their childhood, and now you're supposed to tell them their slide deck is sloppy.
It is the ultimate psychological whiplash. And navigating that exact tension is the core mission of our deep dive today.
It's such a critical topic.
It is. We are diving into a stack of your sources today, some heavy workplace psychology research, a couple of really fiery HR articles, and your own personal notes to explore the intense psychological tightrope of mixing your personal life with your work life.
Which is something everyone deals with at some point.
Right. We are going to unpack the eternal debate that literally keeps HR departments awake at night. Like, should you actually be friends with the people you work with?
It's a question without an easy answer.
And we are going out of our way to avoid cliche corporate advice today. We're looking at the raw, sometimes really uncomfortable reality of how we interact when the stakes are high.
Which is incredibly necessary, I think, because the standard modern advice of, bring your whole self to work, it often just completely ignores the messy, complicated fallout of what happens when you actually do that.
Yeah, it sounds great on a poster, but in reality.
Exactly. We are dealing with raw human psychology in a space that ultimately requires productivity, hierarchy, and accountability, and those forces are just constantly colliding.
Okay, let's unpack this. The research highlights a very specific dynamic that naturally emerges in these high-stress environments. Let's call them the work-family converts.
Oh, the oversharers.
Yes, these are the colleagues who wholeheartedly believe that the secret sauce for perfect collaboration is absolute, unfiltered emotional transparency.
Right, they share every single detail.
They really do. You know about their dog's highly specific grain allergies, all the traumatic details of their recent dating disasters. It is all just out there on the desk.
The underlying assumption they operate on is that intimacy equals efficiency.
Which kind of makes sense on the surface.
It does. They believe that if we know everything about each other, we will naturally trust each other more, and therefore, we will work better together.
They view emotional sharing as this ongoing team-building exercise.
Exactly.
I genuinely struggle with this, though, because they kind of have a point. We are social creatures. It is deeply isolating to eat lunch alone in your car every day.
Oh, absolutely.
Having someone to vent to, someone who knows you, or just having a fundamentally rough week, that makes the daily grind of an office job so much more bearable.
The relief of that social connection is very real, and biologically, we are actually wired to seek it out.
So it's a natural instinct.
Totally. But what's fascinating here is the psychological mechanism of what happens next. The workplace psychology research breaks down how that emotional intimacy inevitably gets weaponized.
Weaponized? That sounds pretty intense.
Well, it's usually entirely subconscious to bypass professional accountability. It essentially comes down to a clash between social norms and market norms.
Okay, market norms versus social norms. Break that down for me. How does that actually play out in the office?
Think about it like this. Social norms dictate how we treat our friends and family. They are built on warmth, empathy, and unconditional support.
Right, the warm and fuzzy stuff.
Exactly. Market norms, on the other hand, are how we operate in the business world. They are built on cost-benefit analyses, performance, and harsh deliverables.
The bottom line.
Yes. So when you blur the lines and turn a coworker into a work spouse or a best friend, you drag them out of the market realm and into the social realm.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. So when that Monday morning hangover hits and you have to critique their marketing pitch, your brain experiences massive cognitive dissonance.
Because you're mixing the realms.
Exactly. You are trying to apply a harsh market norm to someone your brain has now firmly categorized as a social relation.
That explains so much of the anxiety. It is like trying to be a referee in a game where you're also playing on one of the teams.
That is a perfect analogy.
Like you're wearing the striped referee shirt, but you're also wearing the team jersey right underneath it. How can you possibly blow the whistle on a foul when the person who committed it was just crying on your shoulder about their breakup 2 days ago?
You really can't. You biologically fight against doing it.
Really? Like our bodies fight it?
Yes. Critiquing an in-group member triggers the exact same neural pathways as attacking a family member. Your brain literally perceives it as a threat to your social survival.
Wow, so we are hardwired to protect them.
Exactly. So instead of giving the critique, you start making compromises. You start covering for their late reports.
You tell yourself, well, they're going through a tough time with their partner.
Right. Or, I know they've been really stressed about their dog. You basically substitute empathy for accountability.
Which honestly feels entirely noble in the moment. I mean, you feel like a really supportive friend.
It feels noble to your social brain, sure, but it is deeply toxic to the market reality of your team environment.
Because the work still has to get done.
Exactly. If they aren't doing it, someone else is, and very often that someone is you.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So you're covering for them, protecting their feelings, but underneath that supportive facade, you are brewing a very quiet, very potent, silent resentment.
Oh, silent resentment is the worst.
It really is. You're smiling on the outside, but inside you are just furious that you're picking up their slack. And silent resentment is the absolute poison of any collaborative environment because it eventually just explodes.
So if our brains literally view giving critical feedback to a work bestie as an attack on our own tribe, and trying to balance that causes all this silent resentment,
Right.
then logically, the easiest way to survive the office is to make sure absolutely no one ever enters your tribe. Just shut off the emotions entirely.
Which perfectly explains the second archetype outlined in the research, the cold professionals.
Oh, the workplace robots. They look at the messiness of the work-family dynamic and just decide to opt out of the human experience entirely.
They really do.
I mean, they treat their coworkers exactly like NPCs. You know, non-playable characters in a video game.
That is exactly what it feels like.
You walk up to them, press A to interact, they hand you your quest item or your weekly data report, and then they completely shut down. No backstory, no side quests, just the transaction.
The psychological warfare of their communication style is really something to behold, honestly. The articles you shared highlight how they operate on platforms like Slack or Teams.
Oh, it is chilling.
Think about a project manager who operates like this. Their messages are surgically clean, no emojis, no exclamation points, no pleasantries whatsoever.
Just the requested data, ending with a dry, perfectly punctuated thanks.
Yes. The single-syllable period at the end, thanks.
I have received those messages, and they do not feel like gratitude. They feel like a threat.
They absolutely do.
You read it and immediately check your
Yeah.
pulse. You're just staring at the screen, overanalyzing the punctuation, wondering, like, are they mad at me? Am I getting fired?
Because it's a complete absence of emotional data.
Right.
The cold professional operates on this core belief that if they share absolutely nothing of themselves, they risk absolutely nothing.
They're building a fortress of detached professionalism.
Exactly, to keep the messy human elements out.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I am looking at this behavior, and I'm thinking, isn't this person basically bulletproof?
How do you mean?
Well, they aren't manipulating anyone with friendship. They can't be accused of bias. They never have to experience that cognitive dissonance between social norms and market norms because they only operate in market norms.
I see your point.
It just seems like the ultimate foolproof defensive strategy.
It does seem foolproof until you factor in how human group dynamics actually function in the real world.
Oh, okay. So it falls apart.
Completely. The behavioral psychology research completely dismantles this defensive strategy. Being a robot does not protect you.
Really?
In fact, it achieves the exact opposite. It makes you the prime target for office paranoia and gossip.
Wait, how does that work? How does the person who literally says nothing become the main character of the office drama?
Because humans are meaning-making machines, our brains simply cannot tolerate a vacuum of information.
We have to fill in the blanks.
Exactly. If you give us a blank canvas, which is exactly what the cold professional is, we will instinctively project our own anxieties, insecurities, and worst-case scenarios right onto it.
Oh, wow. Because nobody knows what this robotic person is actually thinking, everyone just assumes the worst.
Right. That dry thanks isn't interpreted as efficiency. It is interpreted as passive-aggressive judgment.
Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does office culture.
Precisely. The lack of connection breeds paranoia among the entire team. People start whispering, like, what's their agenda? Why are they so secretive?
Are they secretly tracking all of our mistakes?
Exactly. By trying to opt out of the office social dynamic entirely just to stay safe, you actually become the focal point of the team's anxiety.
So you haven't avoided the messiness of human interaction at all?
Not even a little bit. You've just
Yeah.
created a colder, much more suspicious type of mess.
Man, I was reading through those HR articles, and a concept jumped out at me that really shifted my perspective on both of these extremes.
Oh yeah, what was it?
Well, I want to pose this as a direct question to you, the listener, right now. Think about your own workplace habits. When you were chatting up your desk neighbor, sharing stories about your weekend, bringing them coffees.
Being super friendly.
Right. Are you building actual foundational trust? Or are you just buying insurance?
Buying insurance! Wow, that is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
It totally frames that friendly behavior as a subtle form of manipulation. Like, are you subtly paying premiums in the currency of friendship so that when you inevitably drop the ball, they won't criticize you?
Right, so when your slide deck is a mess next week, you get a pass.
Exactly. Because if we look at it through that lens, both the overshare and the detached robot are actually suffering from the exact same underlying problem.
They absolutely are. They look like total opposites on the surface, but they are just two sides of the same coin.
How so?
Both behaviors are just lazy shortcuts. They are coping mechanisms designed to avoid the hard, uncomfortable work of real communication.
It is all just a fear of friction, isn't it?
Yes. The oversharer uses intimacy as a shield against that friction. They subconsciously think, you can't be mad at me about the late report. We're friends. I told you about my childhood.
And the robot uses distance as their shield.
Precisely. They think, you can't have conflict with me because I am a brick wall. I give you absolutely nothing to grab onto.
Wow. But the root problem isn't the amount of closeness a team has, is it?
No, not at all. The problem is weaponizing that closeness, or the total lack of it, to hide from accountability.
Right, avoiding the actual work.
Real-life communication isn't a binary choice between being a silent monk in a cave or being the office gossip influencer broadcasting your life story.
It requires actual effort.
It requires being present, and more importantly, it requires navigating tension. If you avoid all tension, you aren't communicating, you're just managing impressions.
So what does this all mean? Like, if hiding behind friendship is manipulative and hiding behind a wall of ice makes everyone paranoid, there has to be a structural fix here.
There is, actually.
How does a person in a high-stakes professional environment actually navigate this? How do you keep your humanity, have actual friends at work, but not lose your professional edge?
The solution presented in the psychological literature is actually a beautiful paradox.
Okay, I love a good paradox.
It states that the healthier a relationship is, the more boundaries it needs.
Wait, let's pause on that for a second, because that is a massive paradigm shift. Usually we think of boundaries as walls,
Right, people think it's a negative thing.
Yeah, we think if I put up a boundary, I am pushing this person away. I am restricting the friendship.
And that is the fundamental misunderstanding we have about boundaries in the workplace. Boundaries are not barriers keeping people apart. They are safety nets.
Safety nets, I like that.
They are the exact structural supports that make closeness safe.
Right.
If you don't have boundaries, closeness is incredibly dangerous because, as we discussed, social norms will bleed into market norms and just ruin the professional dynamic.
It gets messy.
Very. But if you do have firm boundaries, you can actually afford to be closer to your colleagues because you both know exactly where the lines are.
Let's ground this in a concrete scenario, because one of the articles laid out a great example of what this actually looks like in practice.
I think I know the one you mean.
Yeah, it says you can absolutely go out, grab a drink with your colleague after work on a Thursday, and spend an hour laughing and venting about your terrible boss.
It's a completely normal social interaction.
Right. You can have that deeply human moment. But the boundary is the mechanism that allows you to walk into the office the very next morning, look that exact same colleague in the eye, and say, hey, I was reviewing your section of the report. It is sloppy, and we need to fix it.
And you have to be able to do that without either of you ending up crying in the bathroom.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what's fascinating here is the ability to compartmentalize the context. That right there is the gold standard of professional communication.
Compartmentalizing the context. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. At the bar, we are peers venting. We are operating in social norms.
But at the desk.
At the desk, we are collaborators who owe each other high-quality work. We are operating in market norms.
So the boundary is what lets both realities exist.
Yes, the boundary allows both of those realities to exist simultaneously without destroying each other.
It is almost like having dual citizenship in two different relationship models.
That's a great way to put it.
But man, that requires a massive amount of emotional maturity.
Right.
You have to be able to separate your ego from your output.
You really do.
And you have to trust that your colleague can do the same. It requires an understanding that says, I value you as a person, which is exactly why I am demanding better from you on this project.
Exactly. And if we look at what makes an organization truly thrive, we have to look at these team dynamics. The strongest, most effective teams out there are not the ones who know each other's deepest, darkest secrets.
They aren't the ones who act like a family.
No, absolutely not.
Thank goodness, because dealing with my actual family is exhausting enough. I really do not need a second one at the office.
Right, exactly. The strongest teams are simply the ones who can handle tension without taking it personally.
They can actually disagree.
They can disagree, they can push back on ideas, they can critique execution, and it never threatens the underlying respect they have for one another.
Because the boundaries hold it all together.
Yes. They use boundaries not to keep each other at a distance, but to protect the integrity of the work itself. They essentially know how to survive the friction.
Surviving the friction. I love that phrase. So, I want to leave you, the listener, with a direct challenge today.
This is an important one.
I want you to take a hard look at how you operate in your own work environment. The next time you feel the urge to spin your chair around and spill all your weekend relationship drama to your desk neighbor, I want you to stop.
Just take a breath.
Just pause for 1 second and ask yourself a very uncomfortable question. Are you genuinely trying to connect with this person as a human being?
Or are you just preemptively patting the blow for that project you know you're going to be late on next week?
Exactly. Be painfully honest with yourself about why you are sharing.
It is a vital check-in. Because you don't have to become a robot, but you do need to be intentional.
Right. Keep the connection.
Keep the connection, keep the empathy, but keep those boundaries sharper. The boundaries are what will actually save your professional relationships when things inevitably get difficult.
You can have the laughs, you can have the camaraderie, but you cannot sacrifice accountability on the altar of being liked. It just doesn't work long term.
And this raises an important final question, actually. Something brand new to really mull over long after you finish listening today.
Oh, lay it on us.
We have talked a lot about that mutual non-aggression pact disguised as a friendship. But what happens to that pact when the hierarchy shifts?
Ooh, that changes everything.
Think about your current work bestie. If they were suddenly promoted tomorrow, and they were now the one controlling your salary and your performance reviews,
Wow.
would your friendship actually survive that shift in power? Or would the lack of boundaries suddenly make the entire relationship collapse?
Oh, wow. The promotion test. If your boundaries cannot survive a promotion, they probably weren't boundaries to begin with.
Exactly.
That hits hard. So the next time it's 9 p.m. on a Thursday and you're staring at that broken spreadsheet together, maybe fix the spreadsheet first.
Yeah, save the childhood trauma for your therapist.
Seriously. Well, we will catch you on the next deep dive.